With his marriage in tatters, millionaire Rob Smethurst lay alone on his bedroom floor, convinced he was going to die. Staring helplessly at the ceiling, he feared he was having a heart attack, but was so incapacitated by booze he couldn't even call an ambulance. Sign up for the football newsletter. Thank you. Rob Smethurst reflects on going from an alcoholic with marital woes to owning a non-league team that toppled the current FA Cup ChampionsCredit, PP. Rob, with wife Sarah, who he got back together with after quitting boozeCredit, supplied. Macclesfield owner Rob celebrates with fans and players after his team's historic win over cup holders Crystal Palace on SaturdayCredit, Getty. Just 8 months earlier, Rob had been so drunk he couldn't remember buying defunct football club Macclesfield Town for £500,000 during a 4-day bender. He only realized what he'd done when the estate agent called to hand over the keys. Rob had spent almost 4 years in an alcoholic daze, and the shock purchase was the last straw for his long-suffering wife Sarah Jane, who left him. Today, Rob is not only sober and back with his wife, but still owns the club that last weekend caused the biggest upset in FA Cup history. Read more on Macclesfield. In a stunning David vs. Goliath victory, Macclesfield FC dethroned cup holders Crystal Palace in an epic 2-1 triumph that Rob is still trying to get his head around. He told The Sun, "It's incredible. It's like winning Euro Millions twice. I've gone from rock bottom to seeing my team beat the reigning FA Cup champions." Sports fans have gone crazy for the win under coach John Rooney, younger brother of Manchester United and England legend Wayne, who was a BBC pundit for the match. The two siblings looked tearful as they hugged after the final whistle, most read in football. And John dedicated the team's win to late Macclesfield forward Ethan McLeod, 21, who died when his car crashed 25 days before the game. One big party house, his picture is still displayed in the dressing room while his number 20 shirt has been retired, and a tribute banner was hung between the dugouts at the stadium during the match. John spoke to the players about the tragedy before the game. He said, "We spoke about Ethan being here with us. I didn't want to say too much to the lads before the game because I didn't want to put any extra pressure on them." On a happier note, the result was the stuff of dreams as the 6th-tier National League North side, made up of bricklayers, plumbers, a PE teacher and a candle salesman, who trained just twice a week for 4 hours, beat Premier League players each on as much as £5.4 million a year. Captain Paul Dawson's header put Macclesfield ahead just before halftime, before Isaac Buckley-Ricketts added a second after the break. But the club's success last Saturday is really the tale of two underdogs, Macclesfield and its owner Rob. He left school without a single GCSE, was almost left destitute when he lost 2 businesses, fought a battle with alcohol, and was diagnosed with ADHD aged 43. "It explains my impulsive side," says dad of 3 Rob. "The night I hit rock bottom, I remember thinking I was dying, that I wouldn't wake up the next morning and I'd never see my boys again." It struck Rob, now 48, that the party posse he constantly invited back to the posh pad he bought after splitting from his wife were nowhere to be found. In a brutally honest interview, he says, "When Sarah Jane and I broke up, we bought our own places. Mine became one seriously big party house with the wrong types of people, random people, just coming around until 4 or 5 in the morning. That's what drink does, though. You surround yourself with the wrong type of people and push everyone away who loves you. It's not intentional and you don't realize you're doing it at the time, but that's the darkness of addiction." Ironically, when Rob hit the bottle, he had all he had ever wanted: a beautiful wife who he had dated since the age of 20, 3 young boys, a 7-bed mansion and millions in the bank after selling a logistics firm to Auto Trader in 2017. He said, "I had everything, but I had no direction, no purpose. People think money makes you happy, but it doesn't. It gives you security, but it doesn't always make you happy." It was only when Rob booked into rehab after that fateful night in 2021 that he began to rebuild his life and win back his family. It was only when the estate agent called and said, "We've got your keys," that I thought, "What?" Rob Smethurst, on finding out, had bought Macclesfield Football Club. While recovering, he was given a diagnosis of ADHD which, he says, has helped him understand some of his behaviors, although he is keen to stress the condition is not an excuse. Born in Macclesfield to a car salesman dad and office worker mom, Rob, a friendly and grounded character, left school without qualifications after struggling with dyslexia and undiagnosed ADHD. Macclesfield team manager John Rooney with his brother, BBC pundit Wayne, at Saturday's Credit, Splash. Goal scorers Isaac Buckley Ricketts and Paul Dawson, who secured Macclesfield's stunning victory credit, Getty. The team's win was dedicated to the late Macclesfield forward Ethan McLeod, 21, who died when his car crashed 25 days before the game. Credit, Getty. "I was pretty much in the bottom set for everything," he says. "We have a broken school system that only rewards academic kids. I was always told I was rubbish, not clever enough, but that fear of failure drove me on. When you're always failing, you have an ambition to better yourself." After leaving school at 16, Rob became a tennis coach for 4 years, having played the sport at county level. But he was determined to make it as an entrepreneur. "All my friends had jobs as accountants and stuff, but I was virtually unemployable, so had to find a way to make my own money," he says. He began buying cars from local dealerships, fixing them up and selling them. By then, he had fallen for wife-to-be Sarah Jane after a chance meeting at a pub in Wilmslow, Cheshire, and opened his own car dealership. It would be the first of 2 that failed, and Rob makes no bones about how close he came to destitution. He recalls, "One day, I went to the garage and realized I had £2.50 left to fill up the car with fuel, so I just abandoned it there and walked home. We nearly lost our house because the mortgage people wanted to repossess it." Rob then hit upon an idea for a logistics app that paired dealerships with transport companies. It took off, and by 2017 had grown so much that Rob sold it to Auto Trader. When asked if the sale netted him more than £10 million, he says coyly, maybe a lot more." Despite his success, Rob found himself strangely unhappy and began hitting the booze. "I had achieved what I wanted," he says. I had everything, but as soon as I stopped working, I lost my purpose. There was no challenge anymore. By the time the COVID pandemic hit in March 2020, listless Rob had too much time on his hands. He was already drinking too much, but lockdown gave him the excuse to booze even more, stuck in the house. Rob said, "It suddenly became acceptable to open a bottle of wine at noon. The problem is, I never stopped and went on all day. Can't remember buying it." In October 2020, during a 4-day bender, Rob's friend told him that Macclesfield Town was for sale on Rightmove after going bust a month earlier. Within hours, he had put in an offer that was accepted. "Well, I'm told that's what happened," he says. "The truth is, I can't even remember buying it. It was only when the estate agent called and said, 'We've got your keys,' that I thought, what?" The day after, TV stations and journalists were knocking at my door asking to speak to Rob Smethurst, the new owner of Macclesfield Football Club, and I thought, "Oh, that's me." It was the nail in the coffin for Rob and 47-year-old Sarah Jane's relationship after he told her to Google the club and meet him there, before confessing he had bought it. Despite last playing football as a kid at school, Rob wanted to keep the club and thought he had bagged a £500,000 bargain, until he walked into the dilapidated ground. The receivers had been in and completely wrecked the place, he says. They'd taken everything: kitchens, equipment, wires, copper pipes, the air conditioning unit. Anything of value had gone. Then Crystal Palace scored and I thought, well, that's it. We will probably get hammered, Rob on Crystal Palace equalizing late on 90 minutes. There were no players, no dressing room, seats were smashed and the pitch was non-existent. He called in a close friend, former Wales international Robbie Savage, to help, and viewers of the BBC documentary Making Macclesfield FC followed the pair as they built the club from the ground up in just 9 months. Rob invested £4 million of his own money in renovations, creating new bars and restaurants, state-of-the-art gym facilities and an AstroTurf pitch. He and Savage also created 38 teams for different age groups, an academy for 800 children and an international program. Not only has he broken even, the club now brings in around £2.5 million a year. But Rob insists that whatever he has achieved, it is the fans who kept the heart of the club beating. They've been incredible, he says. Rob has also reunited with his wife after managing to remain sober, and today he is highly protective of Sarah Jane, who shies away from publicity. They got back together a few months after Rob booked into rehab following the night he thought he would die in 2021. He is now on the Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step program. 2 of his 3 sons, Miles, 16, and Mason, 15, play for Macclesfield youth teams, while Max, 18, prefers golf. When his team humbled Palace, Rob was sitting in the seats with the family he almost lost. He says, "We were all jumping around like mad. We couldn't believe it when we scored the first goal. When our second goal went into the back of the net, I was thinking, can we do this?" Then after Crystal Palace's goal, Rob thought, well, that's it. We will probably get hammered. He continued, "There were 6 minutes of extra time and I was holding my breath through it all. When the whistle went, I was the first on the pitch and there was an invasion. The Crystal Palace fans were really classy and gave us a standing ovation." Rob says it was heartwarming to see John and Wayne Rooney embrace after the victory. Rob adds, "Wayne was really pleased for us. He told me we were history makers. He stayed for a little while before heading home." Rob adds, "Wayne might be the more famous, but John has been the one in the spotlight this week." After the game, teetotaler Rob celebrated with the players in the team bar with a cup of tea before going home to catch the replay on Match of the Day. Chatting to Rob, you get the feeling the win is yet to fully sink in as the club prepares to face another Premier League team, Brentford, in the 4th round of the FA Cup on February 14 in Macclesfield. So does Rob, who is now looking for investors, think his team can pull off another staggering result? "It's the FA Cup," he says. "Anything can happen. You just don't know. Look what we've just done." The reality is that when you're talking about a Premier League team, you're dealing with up to £500 million of players compared with between £350,000 and £50,000 in a team like ours. Recommended stories. We had players on £250 a week marking internationals on maybe £60,000 a week. Can we do it again? We'll give it our best shot. Whatever happens, both Rob and his players are already winners. Rob and pal Robbie Savage, with whom he featured in BBC documentary, helped the defunct club rise from the ashes. Credit. Getty. Players and fans celebrate the club's historic win. Credit. Getty comments.